All right. All right, everybody. Welcome to this podcast. And today I'm going to be talking about my thoughts and concerns for um, the ninth generation of consoles. So, I'm going to be starting with the initial of the ninth gen console, which we already been uh, knowing for a year or so, and a lot of people are very confused by this generation, and that is because there has been a few refreshes and mid-gen refresh and mid-gen upgrades, and that also affects the generation, the console generation. So those are the one of the concerns I do have for the ninth generation. I really do not want that, just because it's very confusing. It's totally unnecessary. Just for the fact that back in the day, um, developers could at least make games for that certain console with no problem. Maybe with no problem. But the fact is that sometimes the developers think that they can improve more of their software, but in terms of the hardware, such as the consoles back in the day, it was just that. It was just no changes, no upgrades, no anything. They might have taken something out. For example, the PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 3 had a really they had a lot of stuff in it. So the problem was that it had too many things in it, and they just had to take a ton of shit out. So that's a good example of it. But no upgrades whatsoever. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think the PlayStation 1, the actual Slim, had a slight upgrade, but I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if it's true. So the PlayStation 2 as a Slim, there has been changes, but I don't think there was upgrades there. You could still play games on their fat PlayStation 2 game with no problem. So things like that, I just don't want them to be repeated, such as this 8th generation of consoles, in which it is a very it is a problem for me, because I know that 4K is something, but if you want to release your console underpowered, you might have to think about what are you going to put in there. Not the features, because features is something else, but the games. The games are very important, and exclusive is very important to your console. For your console to sell, you might have to at least, get those exclusives into work, and that is past franchises or new franchise and talent. So going back, I'm really here back and forth. I can get my head straight. I'm pretty tired, but the ninth generation has started already. If you haven't noticed, the Nintendo Switch is the ninth gen, even though it's competing with the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and basically the PC right now. But it is a hybrid console, and that's something that is really good. It's something that Sony tried to at least copy something of that, but it kind of failed with the Vita. But it was almost there. It was almost like a powerful handheld console where you could at least take anywhere and play your PlayStation 3 games and some of the PlayStation 4 games out from your home, or out from the television. So that was one thing, because handhelds are in another type of generation, even though they're always complementing and always aside with the current generation that they are right now. So the next generation, my thoughts are that the generations are keep on growing, and it's really a good idea, because it is a good idea because I like consoles. I do have a PC, but it is very complex for a lot of people who don't actually know the specs, or like me. I do hire, or tell a friend, hey, put me this graphics card over here, or just build it for me. I buy the stuff. You tell me the things that I have to buy, and I learn. I pretty much I've been learning through all these years the specs and the hardware that it's in a PC, and you need a big space to at least have a powerful computer. Now, as for the Nintendo Switch, it's pretty small, and for a really hybrid hardware, it is a really piece of hardware right there. It's a really good piece of hardware that Nintendo has since last year, and I really like that. So what else? Let's see. So has been other consoles that have been announced, such as the Atari VCS and the new Google console. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Atari VCS, and a lot of people think this is an Ouya, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it has issues. I mean, and it's not the console; it's the actual developer whom they don't know what it's in it. But I think it was at least this week they announced the specs. They announced what it's in there and what are they going to put in. And I'm like, okay, that's something that I have to take off my chest. So I was like, okay, it's going in the right direction. At least they're not going, through this Ouya thing, which was pretty annoying, because competition is good, and that's why I like consoles and video games, and these companies getting their competition back and forth, and really good competition. So aside from the Atari VCS, I hope it goes well. I don't know if it's going to be competing with the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, the next Xbox, and the new Google console. I have to say, the console, the hardware itself, it's pretty expensive. Video games itself it is expensive. So a lot of people, a lot of developers, a lot of Kickstarters, or if you want to start something, you need to know what you're getting into, because at the end of the day, these kinds of stuff are going to at least backfire to you someday. So good luck for the Atari VCS. I really want to at least therefore sell this console well, but they need games. Now they have not announced a new game for a new franchise. People thought that this was like a retro thing, just like the mini consoles from Nintendo. uh, and they've been called even a scam for a line, and that also concerned me last month. But at least some of them in there told the specs, and at least that's off my chest as I've been telling you. So the next one is the Google console. I forgot how the project's name is, but I'm gonna just call it the Google console, the Google Con. So Google is a multi-billionaire company. So even though the video games today are very expensive, it's an expensive hobby, and it is still very pricey. Now, if you want to sell your console, you need exclusives. You need at least features that at least get your console to be an identity for its own self, itself, and that is very important to have features that no other console has, features that games, exclusive games that are really intriguing, that are really cool, that are really that calls an audience to play that game in your console, and that's very very important. What else? So for the PlayStation 5, I can guarantee you that I hope it has more stuff. I hope it has more games. The PlayStation 4 has been a huge success to them. So PlayStation 5 is there's no concern there, but my only concern is something that do I actually have a concern for the PlayStation 5? Some additional features, maybe. I don't think a Blu-ray player will be. I mean, power of the cloud. No, I don't. Maybe I just don't remember right now. So maybe if I just come back later to the PlayStation 5, my only concern is right now is for the PlayStation 5 is to at least have backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 4. But I have to say this: if you buy a new console, it's for new games, right? So let's just say if I want backwards compatibility, but if I still have my PlayStation 4, I mean, what's the point? And I know it's easy to play in just one console, but at the same time, you still have your previous console, which is the PlayStation 4. When the PlayStation 5 comes out, well, that all depends on what the PlayStation 5 will bring us in the beginning of that generation, because the ninth generation already started, even though it's competing with the current generation. It's repeating itself. It has been in the past years with the I think it was the sixth generation. For example, the Dreamcast came first, then the PlayStation 2, and then the GameCube and the Xbox in 2001. So the Nintendo 64 was actually competing with the Dreamcast and the PlayStation 2 until 2001. So the Dreamcast came in 1998, and the PlayStation 2 came in 1999. The NES came 95, 94. One of those years, yeah. Competing with the PlayStation 1 and the Sega Saturn. So looking back in the history, this kind of generation get mixed up, trying to compete with the last gen, and they just couldn't. But at least in this one, the Nintendo Switch itself is actually competing pretty well with the current generation, with the 8th generation. A lot of people just don't think that the Wii U was actually in the 8th generation, competing with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, but it actually was. It is. It's still. Even though if it's long forgotten because of issues and lacking of third party, and lacking of power, of course. So, but at least it was powerful than the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, of course. So, that being said, a lot of people don't think that the ninth generation won't have the same issues as this one. So this is why I'm doing this kind of podcast, because I'm very, very concerned about the mid-gen refreshes. And one of them, I know that the Nintendo Switch is not as powerful as the PlayStation 4, and the PlayStation 5 is going to be a lot powerful, including the next Xbox is going to be a lot is going to be a lot powerful. So I don't know. Nintendo is the one that concerns me, but I'm not gonna go into blame this on Nintendo only. I mean, Xbox and the PlayStation has this to blame too. So it has been a drag. Because look at this generation. Original PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, the Slim, and the PlayStation 4 Pro. Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X. 3 consoles with different specs, except for the PlayStation 4 PlayStation 4 Slim. That is still the same, except for the PlayStation 4 Pro, which has the dynamic 4K. So if they're gonna make us at least buy multiple consoles for the same generation, think about it, because I really do not appreciate the stuff that consoles today are doing, because I know it's an expensive hardware, and we need to at least give them the money they can get their money back. But it's like saying that the PC has it is the most powerful thing. I mean, you can make it powerful, but at the same time, it's very expensive too. That is if you're into gaming. If you're into gaming, you need to at least get some good graphics card, CPU, a good motherboard. At least the RAM has to be above 16 today, or above 8 gig of RAM. So, but it all depends on what you play. Is the specs that I've 8 gigabyte of the graphics card, or it all depends. It all depends on what you actually play or you want to play. But the thing is that the games keep on evolving, and they need more horsepower to run. So developers today, they just want a powerful thing to develop their masterpieces, their software to be good. For me, I know that the game developers software are actually pushing the next generation to something that is very powerful. Now looking to the Nintendo Switch, which is not that powerful console, it doesn't have the horsepower to at least go any further to run, let's see, a Quantum Break or an Uncharted 4 in there, because it needs that kind of horsepower. Now I'm not saying that photorealistic games has to be the future, because right now the Nintendo Switch has a lot of indie games, really good, nice looking indie games, and nice looking AAA games too. A lot of people say that and confuse cell shaded graphics are bad graphics, and confusing with realism graphics is the best and the future of what it is to be a powerful system or really good looking game. So I'm not going to talk about that, but it's been in the social networks lately, and that also concerns me, because hardware developers also see that. So to just stay in the same generation, they're going to think, okay, so maybe we're going to be creating another Nintendo Switch, but it's still in the ninth gen, but it's gonna be a little bit more powerful. But you need to buy it again, and that's, I don't like that. If you're going to release a hardware, a console, just be ready, because I know that the technology is advancing very fast, and you know what that means, because a lot of people won't buy your mid-gen refresh. Look at the Xbox One X. Look at the PlayStation 4 Pro. At least the PlayStation 4 Pro is doing well because of the games. So, that being said, I think I have more concerns than thoughts, but I think they're both the same at the end of the day. So, these consoles need to be very, very competitive with each other. The more competition we have, the better. Yes, all these kinds of stuff, all these features, which I'm going to be talking about in another podcast, just as the crossplay and all that, is very good. But the competition is vitally important, because that's where the good stuff always comes. Because if you see that a hardware is better than yours, you must surpass that other hardware from that competition, right? Nintendo didn't do that, but they were very smart on making it a hybrid, as a home console and also portable, something that the Xbox One, neither the PlayStation 4 and PC cannot do. So, what else about the ninth generation, which I see a brilliant future. I'm not going to go through Ubisoft's philosophy that the ninth gen is going to be the last. I don't think that. I think that as long as these companies can keep money and go for a decent way, in which a good way, I don't think the console market will actually die that soon. I mean, they have been since the... Wow. I can't screw this up. At least the 70s, 80s. As console-wise, let's just say that. But, yeah, it's something that concerns me a lot. So those are my thoughts for now. Maybe I'll do another video because I know that other consoles are going to come. This 9th generation. For now, we have the Nintendo Switch. It came first. Then we have the Atari VCS. If it's going to at least jump into the competition, or it's just gonna be another console. We got the Google console. We got the PlayStation 5 and the next Google. Did I mention the Xbox One? The Xbox Next Gen console, whatever it's gonna be called. So at least we have 5 new consoles for this 9th generation, which is very, very cool, and I'm really glad to have them all. So what else? Yeah, alright guys, competition is always good, and these are my thoughts and concerns for the 9th generation. I know there's some more concerns and thoughts, but right now I cannot actually remember them. But yeah, please don't forget to favorite, rate, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for supporting the channel. This has been Zyropunky, and I'll see you guys later.